Hi, this is Polly McCord. I'm the Graduate Research Librarian at the University of the Incarnate Word Library, and today we're going to talk about Part 1 of Library Resources and the Perils of the Lit Review. First, I want to talk a little bit about the beginning. Why are you having to do a lit review? What is a lit review? What do you benefit from it? A literature review is an exhaustive review of current and past literature on a particular topic. You're conducting a complete review of existing literature for relevant peer-reviewed scholarship. You're synthesizing your research into a well-framed conversation explaining what the experts know. It helps to place your own findings in context, but this is not an op-ed piece. The lit review is not where you give your ideas about what somebody else's ideas were, and it's not an annotated bibliography. So we'll talk a little bit more about what it is. It demonstrates your capabilities as a researcher. Can you thoroughly mine existing literature and deliberately decide what to review and what to leave out? Are you able to reshape your findings into a synthesis that demonstrates current thinking in the field? Have you made your case that your own study will complement, contest, or fill gaps in previous research? I want to talk to you a little bit about your topic. The first thing is you need to love it. You are going to be giving up your time with your family, with your job. You're going to be giving up sleep. You may give up eating for this topic. So be sure it's a topic that you love well enough that you'll be able to love it long enough to get your paper finished. You need to be flexible in terms of where your research might take you. Can you think outside the box? And by that I mean you need to be aware of what you are hoping to write about, and at the same time, as you do your research, if you find information that changes your ideas or changes your goals, you need to be willing to be flexible enough to go with that. And finally, be committed. I'm going to tell you a brief personal story. When I was in graduate school, I had an advisor that wanted me to include something in my paper that I wasn't interested in. It was her research. It was not my research. And finally, I went to my dean and I said, my advisor isn't working with me, and what can we do about that? And the next day, my advisor called me and said that I could write about whatever I needed to. So love your topic, but be committed enough to defend what it is you want to research. So what is the library's role? What is my role as the graduate research librarian in all of this? Well, I'm here to help you recognize your information needs before you start writing. I can assist you in developing strategies for seeking and locating appropriate information. And I can advise you on how to evaluate the relevancy of your gathered information. One of the things that I want you to be aware of is a rubric for synthesis, and I know that other people are going to offer you other ideas on this. They will offer you other examples of a rubric or a matrix, and anything that works best for you is the one you want to use. So this is just one in a series of choices that you can make. But I like this one because it's a tangible concept of the literature review. I'm a visual person, and it's easy for me to look at this and have a good sense of what I'm doing and what's going on. It outlines a professional conversation framed by guiding concepts. It's well organized and shows you the current state of the topic. It highlights past research findings, paving the way to current thought. It helps you to determine frequently recurring issues. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's pretty simple. The first column is the citation, and it also indicates the status. In this case, it's a peer-reviewed article. There's a column for the summary of the article. What was the point? What was the hypothesis? What final realizations did they reach? And then there are the talking points. And the reason that I find this to be a good one is you can create as many columns as you need for talking points. You could have 15. I just have 3 on this slide. But as you create one of these for each article that you're reviewing, you might see that the majority of them all agree on talking point 3, that more diversity training is required for first responders. And so that will lead you in a direction for your lit review and for your paper. One of the benefits of this rubric is it can be constructed in Word or Excel. Talking points are recurrent issues in the professional literature, forming major sections of the literature review, and it helps you to see those recurrent issues clearly. So this is the end of the first portion. Librarians love helping people, so don't be afraid to ask for help. That's why I'm here. I've also given you a link to a library guide on the graduate research process that I created for graduate students here at UIW. Please feel free to look at that if you have more questions or contact me. Thank you.